Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly massive chapter in our shared story, and that is the very origins of human civilization. We are going to travel literally millions of years back in time to see exactly how we got from our earliest ancestors to the modern world we know today. Let's dive right in.
But first, I want you to just imagine something for a second. How did humans communicate before writing was even invented? Seriously, how did our early ancestors manage to survive a wildly changing planet, pass down absolutely critical survival knowledge, and leave their mark on the world when the written word wasn't even a thing yet? It's a fascinating puzzle, and in this explainer, we're going to piece it together step by step.
So here's our roadmap for the chapter. 1. History before written records. 2. Evolution and early movement. 3. The ages of progress. 4. The farming revolution. 5. The invention of writing. And finally, 6. Early river valley civilizations.
Let's start with Section 1, History Before Written Records. The sheer scale of the human journey is, well, it's staggering. Think about this. More than 99% of our history falls under the category of prehistory. That's roughly 3 million years ago, right up to just 5,000 years ago. To understand this massive chunk of time, we have to rely entirely on physical artifacts. We're talking stone, tools, and bones. Contrast that with strict history. It makes up less than 1% of our timeline, but it's the crucial era where we finally have written documents to give us specific dates, names, and events.
Moving right along to Section 2, Evolution and Early Movement.
To really understand who took those first steps, we need to nail down a couple of key terms. Hominin is the broader group that encompasses modern humans and all our early human-like ancestors. And right there within that evolutionary family tree is Homo erectus, which literally means our upright, bipedal ancestor. These are the beings that quite literally took the first major steps for humankind.
And what's truly wild about Homo erectus is that their ambition was off the charts. They didn't just stay put in Africa, where hominins first evolved. No, they were the very first to exit, migrating across huge parts of Asia and Europe somewhere between 2 million and 500,000 years ago. And they certainly didn't go empty-handed. They survived this incredible, daunting journey into totally new environments because of their cultural evolution. They carried specialized stone tools, like hand axes and cleavers, which allowed them to adapt to and utilize entirely new natural resources.
Which brings us to Section 3, the ages of progress. So looking at this timeline, you can really see how technological progress just rapidly accelerated. 2 million years ago, we were deep in the Paleolithic or Old Stone Age, relying strictly on hunting and gathering just to survive. But then, around 12,000 years ago, a warming climate ushers in the Mesolithic era. We started making tiny microblades, basically the Swiss Army knives of the ancient world, which were absolutely perfect for fishing and gathering. Fast forward a mere 2,000 years, and we hit the Neolithic or New Stone Age. This is defined by agriculture and polished stone tools. And finally, about 5,000 years ago, the Bronze Age kicks in. This is huge. Metallurgy, mixing copper and tin, leads directly to a massive expansion of trade, the building of towns, and early civilizations.
That leads perfectly into Section 4, the farming revolution.
I actually want to pause here and throw a question directly your way. Why do we call the shift to farming during the Neolithic period a revolution rather than just a simple change in habit? I mean, cultivating wild grains might just seem like a neat new trick, right? But the reality is, it permanently and radically altered the entire structure of human society.
The answer lies in this incredible chain reaction. Step 1. We finally domesticated plants and animals. We stopped just chasing our food and actually started growing it. And that led directly to Step 2, the ability to produce a food surplus. For the first time ever, people had more calories on hand than they immediately needed to survive. And that surplus? That is the absolute key to Step 3. Because not everyone had to spend their entire waking day looking for a meal, people could transition away from a nomadic hunting lifestyle. They could settle down in one place, which freed up tons of time to develop new crafts, establish trade routes, and ultimately build complex civilizations.
All of that building brings us to Section 5. The invention of writing.
This right here is one of history's greatest remaining mysteries. The Harappan script from the Indus Valley civilization, which you can see carved into ancient seals, remains completely undeciphered to this day. We just don't know what it says. Contrast that with the Brahmi script on the right, which was formalized later around the 3rd century BCE. Because Brahmi actually has been deciphered, it marks that critical dividing line taking us out of prehistory. It finally allows us to hear our ancestors' actual recorded voices.
And finally, Section 6,
Early River Valley Civilizations.
Just take a look at this incredible decorated box from Mesopotamia. It visually confirms that exact chain reaction we were just talking about. Thanks to that surplus food, you suddenly have specialized labor. We're talking elaborate drapery, highly skilled artisans, and even a wheeled cart, which, let's be honest, probably means they also invented the world's first traffic jam. This is a snapshot of a society absolutely teeming with distinct social classes and merchants, all living together in large, bustling city settlements.
Another prime example of these early powerhouses is the ancient Egyptian civilization. Emerging around 3000 BCE, they were heavily, intricately dependent on the River Nile. In fact, their entire agricultural survival relied on the river's annual summer floods. Those floods left behind a highly fertile, dark, rich mud they called kemet. With that incredible food security, they were able to build a highly complex social hierarchy ruled by pharaohs right at the top. And of course, their profound cultural beliefs in the afterlife led to the development of incredibly complex rituals. Take mummification, for example, a highly precise process where they dried the body with a salt called natron and meticulously wrapped it in linen strips.
But what I find truly fascinating about this era is how these smaller artifacts completely humanize the past for us. When we think of ancient Egypt, our minds immediately go to grand pyramids and golden pharaohs. But it was also just regular people living, working, and walking the banks of the Nile in these exact types of woven sandals, or storing their daily goods in this bird-painted pottery. It's a great reminder that history is ultimately made of ordinary people using everyday technology to navigate their world.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. We've seen just how much we can piece together from artifacts, from woven sandals to simple hand axes. But remember that Harappan seal from earlier? Consider this. If the Harappan script mysteriously gets deciphered tomorrow, what new types of information do you think historians might learn? Would we discover their lost poetry, their complex laws, or maybe just the long-forgotten names of their kings? It is a thrilling reminder that history isn't just some static list of dates you have to memorize. It is a living, ongoing puzzle. There are still ancient secrets buried deep in the earth, just waiting to be unlocked. Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible journey through our shared human story.